you are in for a treat. I have interviewed a professional architect managing his own firm. He bought the Remarkable 2 to manage the ever-increasing data coming in from different streams so that he could progress his company further. This interview actually turns into a masterclass about how to actually get things done. If you are a professional and have struggling to deal with the incoming data, events, emails, voicemails, this is the interview for you. Sit back, put your headphones on, watch, have your notes, listen, and read the description. My name's Chris, and welcome to my channel, Maverick Next Gen, a channel about the Remarkable 2 and how to think better in this digital age. This is one of my special guests, Andy Osterland, and he's an architect. I'm going to be interviewing about how he uses his Remarkable 2 in his daily workflow, and let's just get straight into it. So, Andy, can you tell us a bit about what you do as an architect, please?
Well, sure. First of all, I'm in the States. We have a 8-person firm here in Raleigh, North Carolina. As an architect, we design buildings. Designing is a long process. It's a many-step process. Meet with the clients. We work through concepts. We eventually get to construction drawings, and then those drawings we turn in for permit and construction. You mentioned working on the site. Yes. So a good day is when you show up on a job site, and what you drew in 2 dimensions is now suddenly 3 dimensions. And so you get to walk through the building. You're checking for details, of course, but also just enjoying what you've drawn in Claire.
I know, having had little conversations with you, that prior to the Remarkable, you used to have a portfolio where you'd have your notes and drawings, this big thick thing. And I'm just wondering, Andy, about what's the backstory to why you got the Remarkable?
Well, my wife sort of teases me because I really struggle with the reality of this. And you say you came from a notebook. Well, having a notebook, that was a breakthrough for me. We used construction drawings.
Go for it. Yeah.
Construction drawings are this big, right?
Is that A1 or A0? No, that's A1. Isn't it?
Again, you're in Europe, so this is
of course.
We call that ARC D 24 by 36 inches.
Wow.
So that's what I want. I want to be able to walk through the job site with this huge piece of paper, but it's hugely impractical. For most of my career, I've had a mini set, which is a quarter of that, but you still get to walk around the site. You've got it in hand. And the bad part is that it's still a lot to carry. But the good part is you can read it in the sun. You're walking around the job site. You can turn to the page that you want. You can see it. You can write on it. You can make notes as you go. That's the goal, is that paper world where it works. I had finally broken down and gotten a little notebook and carrying that around, and that was good. And also, a lot of architects carry tablets. Some of the staff here has Surface tablets, and they're good with a tablet. And first of all, it's small, so you just kind of get along with that. You say, well, all right, that's okay. This is what we deal with. You don't want to drop it. You're trying to climb ladders, carrying these things. And then the tablet I have, it's a higher end tablet, so it's more expensive, it's more fragile, and it's also harder to hold.
Which one do you have, Andy? Just out of interest.
X ThinkPad, where the keyboard snaps off. So it's powerful. It runs our software. It does well. But then it's pretty slippery in the field. And if it's sunny, that's no good. So the you're walking through with a contractor that you're trying to impress, right? You're trying to get him to do what you want. Meanwhile, you're having to fumble through drawings on your fancy tablet, and he's just looking at you like, get a piece of paper. That's the field struggle, and that's a very real thing. How does an architect walk through a job site having some sense of drawings? When I got to the Remarkable, it's the very literal thing of how do you deal with all the data that just comes in? So now I'm not just a field guy, I'm not just a drawing guy, but this is my office, right? So I'm not just managing one project, I'm managing 40 projects, and then the phone rings, and what do you do? How do you keep track of just all the data? So that's why I finally broke down, instead of scribbling notes all over my desk, I got a notebook. And then I started seeing ads for the Remarkable and just how smooth that was going to be, and maybe this could solve all my problems, and I could have drawings on the tablet. I was just getting buried in scraps of paper. That was getting embarrassing. Even if you walk into one meeting, and you have all the scraps of paper from the last meeting, and you haven't filed
still in the same place.
Yes. And that's no good. And then even our office manager, I would say, here's my notes from the meeting. Can you scan these in? She was giving me faces. And, all right. So all that broke down. I needed more technology, which of course I enjoy. Finding a new tool that's going to do the job. It's been great.
When did you get your Remarkable? How long have you had it for?
Okay. True confession, I've had it about a month. So I still feel like a rookie here.
Wow.
Before getting this, I signed up for the Reddit channel. I track all those guys, and I watch your show. You've been a huge help.
So it sounds very much like you had to do the research, and it wasn't, for me, it was an emotional buy.
I certainly did. I have a fancy laptop, so why isn't this good enough for me?
In terms of competition, in terms of the Remarkable, was there any other options that you thought, I could have gone for that?
I flipped through those a little bit. The Remarkable is great about advertising. So, it was famously in my feed for a month. They're picking at me. But honestly, that matters. And one part about advertising is that it proves that you're committed to the long-term product. It's an investment, but all of a sudden you've got this dialogue with your customers. I needed something with some track record. I want this to be on my desk for a long time. After I kind of made the decision to go this way, it was only then that I discovered there are other brands of unique things.
Yeah.
I was a little bit drawn to the Sony line. Sony has always done great products for generations.
Yeah, the engineering is superb. I suppose long and short of it was like, yep, the Remarkable 2, they pinpointed me and they gave me some ads, so I just went for it. And actually, you're enjoying having it.
Oh, absolutely. Very much.
Now, what's interesting, Andy, is that you've actually done a lot in that month. You seem to accelerated in a month, and I'm just having a look at what you just said. The amount of information that's coming in. Tell us about how you have structured your workflow in your Remarkable to manage, I suppose you were saying like 40 clients or projects or whatever. Walk us through.
Well, thanks for the question. I do want to talk about that. That's something I feel like I want to share. So you're in business, start to talk about things like the market swings and pandemic. I came over there too, right?
We're still living it.
Worldwide pandemic. I'm always worried about the market crashing or how to find work. And then the pandemic comes through. Spent last year just trying to figure out what was going on. There wasn't that swarm of data coming in. Everybody was at home. We were all kind of chill. Worried about important things. And then it's what we hoped would happen. The faucet turned back on. All of a sudden, all this work we've been waiting for, and I'm very thankful for this, but all of a sudden the phone is ringing, and all the people you haven't heard from for 2 years are now back in your market. I literally feel like it's more coming in. It's, not just saying workflow, but it's just more data coming in. It's a new environment. Maybe we don't want to go right back to work the way we did 2 years ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so it's a lot of restructuring, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of new workflows. So, Chris, to answer your question, whenever I hit those kind of world-changing moments, I go buy a new book, read a new business book. Somebody's got to know how to manage the world. Jumped into David Allen's Getting Things Done.
Everybody, David Allen, Getting Things Done.
It had been recommended to me by a business coach and a few other people. I got the book, so I'm in the middle of crossfires, right? So I just dove right into the book. I read the 400 pages, and it's got all the theory, it's got everything in it. But I was just looking for how do I get what's the deal here? How do I get this done? So he's got his flow chart.
Ooh.
So that's right out of the book. And some people say that's all you need in the book is this flow chart. Really appreciate and has been helpful to me about this Getting Things Done. It is not high level stuff. It's straight workflow. What do you do when the phone rings? And the first thing, this is so basic, but the first thing is you write it down.
Yes.
So,
Everybody, this is going to probably be the most genuine tip ever. Get it down on, not actually on paper, but
okay. So that gets back to last year's problems of scraps of paper everywhere, which gets down to now I've got this. I had the paper notebook, and that was okay, and then now I've got the Remarkable, and it has the button for a Quicksheet, which is exactly.
You use the Quicksheet.
Oh, come on.
Everyone, okay, sorry, listeners, viewers out there, we have a genuine use case for someone who embraces
this is
the Quicksheet.
Well, so I'm going to tell you my sweet little process, but
go on, yeah.
The Quicksheet is the scrap of paper, right?
Brilliant.
So,
as it was designed for, the Quicksheet.
Absolutely, and it's cool. You can be on any screen in this thing, and the Quicksheet button is on top.
Right.
Which is exactly where I am, because what happens is I'm working on a thing. Somebody comes to my desk. I deal with that. Then the phone rings. I deal with that. And I'm sure smarter people are going to say, well, you need to control your environment. This is how I want to work. I want to be available to my clients. I want to be able to respond to issues as they come through. And so the first thing in this get things done is you capture the data. So for me, that's the Quicksheet. So I flip to a blank piece of paper and I scribble down. I literally scribble down what happened on the phone, and then I have it captured. You ready for step 2?
Absolutely. Before you do that, Andy, do you on your Quicksheets have a format that you do, like client name? I suppose what I'm alluding to, is there a template that you would like to see in the Quicksheets kind of thing, or do you just scribble? What do you do?
Okay, well, that's a fair question. Often I can't think fast enough to get to the right template and the right format. A client calls on the phone, I'm already a little nervous. Is he happy? Is he not happy? Is he going to tell me something new or bad or good? I just have to respond to what's happening on the phone.
Right.
Yes, I've been through a lot of these systems, and so in the past, and by the past I mean 2 months ago, I would think, okay, well, what notebook am I putting this data in? Am I going to put it on this, in my OneNote? So I've got a computer. Do I put it on the computer? Do I write it down? Where's my nearest scrap of paper? This gives me the freedom to not have to do that. Yes, I kind of have a pattern, like I'll put the date and the name on the top right corner, just as if it's a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even get to that part until after I hang up the phone, right?
Yeah.
So you scribble down what they're worried about, what the important thing is, what did I promise them I was going to do? You write it down, and then for the file, then I write the date and who I talked to and what project it was related to.
So with your flow, I get, it's like, oh, client's called, I must note everything down. Do you make the conscious effort after the call to review and summarize, or do you leave it to the end of the day to put it in the file?
And this is important, and this is there's some confession here about. So one good thing here is I don't have to cure myself first. What if the phone rings twice in a row? So best thing is I scribble down the note and I put the guy's name on it. Yes. And I file it. But what if I don't get there?
Yeah.
Now I've got the Remarkable. I flip to the next Quicksheet. I can answer the next phone call. Yeah. I can roll with data as it comes in, and that's
cool.
That's been a breakthrough to me. And the get things done system allows for that. It's like, this is okay. It's all right.
It's okay
because there's a step 2.
Cues. Step 2.
Okay, so first thing is capture. The data's flying at you. You capture it. Step 2 is the inbox. Inboxes have been on desks for probably 1,000 years, but this is why we have an inbox. So you capture it and then you move it into the inbox. When I had a paper notebook, I would rip out the page, put it in the inbox.
Literally.
That alone is a break through them, and that's great. That's exactly how you do
It
this.
works. It does work,
Right.
yeah.
On the Remarkable, I have a way to show this to people, but on the Remarkable, what you do is you scribble down your Quicksheet, either, depending on what mood I'm in, I suppose, either I email that page to myself, email it to either me or my office manager to file.
Now, just quickly, do you convert to text?
No. No, I learned that a long time ago. So I was working for a guy, and he asked me to write him a report. I wrote my notes by hand on a piece of notebook paper. And then I talked to him, and I said, okay, so I'll type this in. And he said, no, it's done. What? I can read this. You're done. Do the next thing, which is great advice. Your handwriting's fine. You can read it.
Brilliant.
If it wasn't Remarkable, and I tell the whole staff, do not leave paper on your desk. I don't want it transcribed. You don't have to do anything to it, but we have to keep it.
Yeah.
So scan it in. Well, the funny thing is now the young staff, they say scan it in.
Yeah.
But I have a phone for that. But yeah, so you got to get it in the filing system. I don't care what format it's in.
Sure.
I don't want you to rewrite it. We don't have time for
That's
that.
perfect.
So convert to text? No, I mean it's
It's redundant.
yeah. Well, first it takes a second, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
Second,
That's
second is probably going to transcribe it wrong.
Yeah. That's
And third, I mean, Remarkable does great.
no. Sorry, Remarkable. You are.
Yeah,
It is
it's
great.
better than anything else out there. But and then step 3 is, I argue that my writing is probably better
Wow.
than it was with pen and paper, where I would scribble things out. Now I have an eraser.
Oh,
Now,
which pen did you get? Just the
The
regular.
regular one.
Yeah.
'cause that one's $50 more that you have.
I'll just quickly jump in. How have you found your writing experience with the pen that you've got? Is there anything you can add to it?
This is an easy answer. It's wonderful. It's fantastic.
Brilliant.
The responsiveness is great. There's one caveat I have to say. Okay. Especially during the pandemic, I mean, even in school, but I was into fountain pens. The pushback as an architect, as a designer, as somebody who learned to draw on paper, is that a device can't take away from my craft. And it's only with this generation of laptop and now even this generation of notebook that I feel like the computer's not in the way of me just drawing. I have to be able to write well. I have to be able to draw. I have to be able to communicate, as my profession always has. So a device cannot get in the way of that. So I do miss having real pen and ink in a meeting. So I'm kind of working through that.
Interesting that you said about your craft and drawing. You posted a comment on, I think it was, which video was it? How to change your nib.
Yes.
And I was like, a person who actually draws in their job. I was so excited because I was thinking, what does he mean about rotating? Because you asked the question, how do you know when to change your nib?
Right.
And I was like going, I've got to make this really concise. You have a pack that came with yours.
Yeah.
How many have you got through?
Okay, so I'm on my second one.
Okay, that's not too bad, yeah. I think it's between 3 and 5 weeks. That's what they recommend.
Right. I finally got to the point where it was skipping.
Yeah, skipping.
And it was putting marks on the page that I didn't intend.
When the Remarkable came out, I was like, well, it's got 4,096 levels of pressure. It's got all this grey scale, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But from a person who, as you said, it's part of your craft where you need to draw things, how has it transitioned to the Remarkable in terms of a paper drawing replacement?
It's like writing. And I'm not, and we talked to our staff about this, you're not doing a pretty picture. So it's more about lines and line weights. And having every line black is okay, except I do want a red pen for the future.
Yes.
For
You hear
the
that,
future.
Remarkable? Red colour, please.
Yes, please. I do want that. When I draw the most in that way is when I work around the office and meet with staff and sketch out the detail. That's actually been pretty great. I can sketch it on the tablet. We can communicate about it. It's very compact. We're just on their desk and it's good. And then I can email it to them.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. It works really well.
And in terms of you keeping the drawing in some sort of, I suppose, an organized mechanism, do you put it in a folder or do you just email and can you deal with it, please, someone?
So step 1 is capture. Step 2 is put it in the inbox. And then step 3 is you figure out what to do with it. Yes, we have a great filing system for the office. With the getting things done, what you do is you have a moment when you get to the inbox. And so you're scribbling things down all day, and then at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, you go through the inboxes, and that's when you file things. That's when you.
And then with the filing aspect, since you've put it in the inbox, does that mean the workflow has left your Remarkable?
No. So there's 2 parts to this. Usually, when you think about devices, you're so worried about syncing things. You don't want things to be in 6 different devices. They all have to go to the same space. The Remarkable takes a much more passive approach to syncing. And it does go to the cloud, and that's good even just as a backup. It's actually fairly rare that I draw something here that I must preserve. It's more about this workflow of the information, my to-do lists, getting things done. One thing that this book has is many lists. That's how you manage your world.
List of lists, yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, yes.
And interesting, how have you embraced it? Has it been hard? What was your journey like? Because I know certainly for me, right, I've never really done lists in my life, and I know it's important now.
You read one book and it says real professionals don't use lists. If you're really an entrepreneur, if you're really changing the world, you don't have lists. But on the other hand, when I tell my staff what to do and they don't write it down, I know they're going to forget. And I know myself is that I have to write it down. I mean, this is something I had to do. I dove in deep. I dove in all the way. I've got every list that David Allen says I should have. Go to your inbox. And the truth is you have a whole bunch of inboxes.
Yeah. You
have your voicemail, you have your email, you have the inbox that I've created on the Remarkable. I even have one on my desk. You go to your inbox, you pick out the next action, so that goes on a list. So I have a list of, right now it's down to just 2 pages on the Remarkable, but I have, 40, 50 things to do. These are the next action. You don't just dump them all on your calendar saying, I'm going to do them all today. You make all these lists, right? So you've got your next action list, you've got your someday list of, I don't know when I'm going to do this, but it's a good idea. Agendas. It's been great. It just freed my mind. I told my wife I had sort of a dream after I dove into the getting things done plus the Remarkable dream where my brain was just empty.
Freedom.
I really felt that way. I came from, there's just too much coming in and I don't know what to do with it, to I've got all this where it is and I can see it. It's not in my head. I make lists on the Remarkable for all the staff. I've got one for everybody on the staff that I talk to.
They're like, there's too many lists here, Andy.
Yes. But it's okay.
Yes. It's all out of my brain. This is what I want.
And I suppose, I'm sure that's one of the criticisms of getting things done. That you just have too many lists. I mean, I don't feel that way. I think the workflow works, and having this device is ideal for tracking 1,000 lists.
And in terms of, the Remarkable comes with templates out of the box.
Yes.
I'm going to say, you have lots of lists. Yes. Do you have a template that you use for it?
Yeah, okay. That's good. So that's probably one of those niche questions. What is your favorite Remarkable template? The checklist one, the one with boxes on the left, that's great.
Yeah.
But I've sort of been evolving just to the college ruled, where it's just lines on paper.
To be fair, that's what I do. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen some of my videos, but I have customized it just to suit my workflow. But generally lines, that's practically what I do, and a lot of other people do because they just want to write.
Exactly. And even the blank screen is kind of great. can scribble. And for me, I need to draw.
Yeah.
I like the storyboard. Yeah.
Viewers, if you're watching or listening, we have an architect who actually uses storyboards, because draw this, put a sentence under it, and that's how you use it, right? Wow.
That's right. It's been good at, I go to people's desks, and so I'll have a few notes that I know I need to talk to them about, and then we draw something.
Andy, is this the device for a digital architect? Would you put it, hey guys, every employee, here's one? Would you go to as far? I mean, it's only been a month, but could you see its use taking off? I suppose in an architecture firm, because that's your domain, or would you say, actually, Chris, it's a bit too early for that?
Everybody knew I was watching for the shipment, the DHL shipment to come through. So it finally arrived, and everybody kind of huddled around. And I said, "What is it? What is it?" And the first thing Joe said was, "Are you going to get those for all of us?" That was funny, and I said no. But, then, I have coffee with other architect friends, and
that's
right away they say, "Okay, I want one of those." The truth about using this in the field. First, absolutely, just in terms of managing the information that's coming through, it's been great. But that would apply to any business in the world. The second, yes, I put my drawings on here, so I carry them to the job site. We can read them. Being able to read something in the sun in North Carolina, standing on either a roof or a slab, an empty slab, that's a real thing. Your high-end laptop, you can barely read it, and it keeps flipping around and spinning. And
you don't need a laptop.
So what I'm finding already is people are looking at my screen instead of their screen.
That's great with customer engagement. They're like, oh, well, I mean, one thing I'll ask, because I'm very interested, when I'm drawing architecture and user journeys, I need a big piece of paper. And I know you mentioned that you had this, I don't know what you called it, but the big 27 by 36 inches or something like that. Do you have a PDF version of it on your Remarkable? And
yes, and that's something I really wondered about before I got this. I thought, how is that going to work?
Yeah.
And what I do, a drawing set could be 100 or 600. I mean, it could be hundreds of pages. It's not a fast device.
Right.
So what I do is I pull out just the plans I know we're going to talk about in the field. When I'm in a job trailer, I still have my laptop. I just rip out the sheets that I know we're going to talk about.
Yep.
That I know I need to see. I have those there when I'm walking through the building. But yes, it's the 24 by 36 converted down to a...
I'm not sure what version you're on, 2.7 or I think it's 2.8. But in terms of... Are you on 2.8? Okay. How are you finding the pinch and zoom?
Well, I'd give it a B.
Part of having a great user experience from the point of view Remarkable is to be able to look at your diagram, navigate around it, and pinch and zoom. Do you use the app, the mobile app or the desktop app?
I do, yes.
Tell us about the experience, how you use that.
If I'm making a lot of folders, it's managing folders is easier in the apps. Converting to PDF. If I don't feel like emailing it to myself, I can use the app and pull it out of there. What I use the app for is pulling sheets in.
Yeah. Oh.
So that works really well. So I'm at my desk. I pull out the PDFs from my drawing set, and then I use the app to import it to the device.
No, that makes sense. When you say app, are you talking about the desktop app or the mobile app to pull in the PDF?
Well, I have used both to do that.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, it's been a while since I've used the mobile app, but I didn't think you could import documents from your phone into the... Well, maybe you can now. I'm just so behind, but thank you for telling me that.
You can, and when that happens is if I'm on the road, somebody emails me a PDF, and then I use the Remarkable app on my phone to take it from that email to the Remarkable. And you think that's something that would never happen, but it totally.
I can imagine.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah, and it's important. I mean, I'm going to ask you, have you heard, when you're browsing on the web, in whatever browser, do you use the Center Remarkable plugin? That.
I don't use Chrome. I mean, not to.
So you don't. That's
interesting. Not to play that game. I don't use Chrome, but no, I haven't used that.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, it's one of those. I use it because when you're, suppose, researching, if you do on the web and you want to send it to Remarkable, it's just a click away.
I don't read a lot of white papers or that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So I rarely have to do that. I'm more likely to be researching something on the web and then scribble down a note about what I'm learning.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I'm just wondering. We've gone through step 1, data in. We've put it in inbox, and then processing. Is what happens after that? Or how many steps are there in this Dave Allen thing?
Oh well, it's a flow chart.
Ah, right, because you described it as a step. Should we continue? So once you've organised it, you've sent it to people. What comes next in that?
So you decide, is this actionable or not?
And
if it's not actionable, you file it away.
And close the door.
Yes.
Nice.
If it is actionable, then you have to then delegate it or do it. One of his rules is if it's going to take you 2 minutes, you just need to do it. That's his cutoff. It's 2 minutes. Or you move it to your next actions list, which I have on the Remarkable, which is prime time, front page, is the next action list.
Yeah.
Write it down. I used to tell people, oh, that's on my list, but I didn't really have a list. And now, it was all in my head. And now I
actually have a list.
Now I actually have
in the Remarkable.
On my Remarkable. It's fantastic.
Wow. Now that is truly transformational, and I think I appreciate and share your happiness when you say it is. When you write it down, it feels like a load comes out off your shoulders because it's now there, visible, and you can talk to people about it.
It's a lot of that is the nature of professional consulting. That's one of the services that we offer to the world, is that we can take their ideas that they don't know how to handle, and we can handle it.
Yeah.
We can help them get where they're trying to go.
Yeah.
But then we have to remember to do that for ourselves as well.
Correct. And I think for me, recognizing over this past 1.5 years about COVID is that what I'm getting at is well-being. In terms of, like you said, the sheer volume. It's kind of obvious that now that you're working from home, you can't just kind of have those coffee breaks and talk. What I mean by that is you're constantly feeling like the need to have to work, and you need to manage that time better.
Yes.
You just feel like you're working 24/7 almost, and you need to switch off. And what's nice about the Remarkable is that, okay, I'm just going to brain dump that, and I can switch off for the day and then come back to it.
It's also, you have to go home. The best thing I heard the last week or so was you can't work all the time. You have other things to do. I used to think I had to finish something before I could go home, and that was okay, and I could get certain things done that way. Well, number one, I started going home later and later. That doesn't work. I can tend to operate that way, but the family doesn't appreciate it. Dinner's cold, and it's bad news. More than that, I want to be moving toward things that I can't finish in one day.
Yeah.
I want to be pursuing bigger work. And so to do that, the two ways to handle that are, one, you break it down into bite-sized pieces.
Correct.
Which, as a designer, I don't know what all the bites are until I get there. So that advice has never really worked for me. I know certain workflow things about how to break this up, but I don't know how deep the hole is until I jump in it. What I wanted to say there was what I've learned with the Remarkable and with the action lists is I'm learning how to bookmark.
Ooh, how do you do that?
Which is really well. First of all, it's a metaphor. It's not a button.
That's why, because I'm not sure if you've seen my other video about I put a DDVK hack on, they call it, and that's actually got a button. So please tell us, the viewers out there, he's got a metaphorical bookmark which he's going to share with us. This is fantastic.
All right, my next action list.
Oh, here you go. He's sharing it with us, guys.
So these are the actual next actions. Don't plagiarize or whatever. But, so, I'm working through the list, and something I've always struggled with is that there are big things and there are small things. I have always struggled with this, that there are 17 urgent things that are going to take me, they're going to take 20 minutes each. So I can spend my day collecting urgent things to do, but then I never get around to, I actually have to design a whole building. I have to invent something gargantuan, and that's going to take me a month, and I can never fit that in because I'm doing all the other things. And I've always struggled with that and gotten behind on deadlines because of that. And so now, like this line item, that takes a lot of time. It's a multi-day event, and so I draw a little bookmark. I draw a little bookmark there when I go home.
I see. That's great. Yeah.
So I'm trying to embrace that yes, I can still go home even though this line item is not finished. Pick it up tomorrow.
Let's just say you do finish it, because everyone out there, the whole point of the list is that you can cross it off.
Oh yeah. Okay. So here's my thing, and these are all things that are only on your bookmark. If I scribble it out, then I've got a messy page, and if I'm in a hurry, I can do that. But usually, when you finish something, it's a moment of celebration.
Right.
So
right.
You take the time, and I do enjoy erasing. So I'll scribble this and I'll erase it. And so then it goes away, and that's really sweet. But then the best part is, like, if I finish this one, so that goes away. Now there's a hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you say, well, this takes too much time, and it does, but just this is all about celebrating you finish something. And now I take all
of it,
and I shove it up. And it's awesome.
Yeah. I have to say, that is one of the most priceless features of, well, it's not just, I suppose, Remarkable, but the digital notebook is that you can cut and paste. I'm going to do another video, guys, just out there. The cut facility is amazingly accurate. You can draw some really complex stuff, and it will just pick it up.
It's really good.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So I appreciate, and everyone out there, what Andy has just said to you. It is a celebratory moment where you can actually cross or clear off that action that you do, because it means you've done it. Yeah. So is your intention with your lists to make it clear, because I'm using Ryder Carroll's bullet journal methodology, and it tracks your past, present, future, but I put a cross by it. Is David Allen's or your kind of vision to, like, make sure all your list is completely blank, so you're like, yay, got nothing else to do?
I realize this, and I talk about it. If my list is blank, it means I'm out of business.
Okay, so you don't want to be doing that.
So I never want that to happen. Like we had that conversation with our staff the other day. I said, there's this big thing you're not getting done. What are you going to do? He said, well, I'm just waiting for all my other stuff to clear up. I said, if I do my job, you'll never run out of things to do. So that turns into a time management conversation, prioritization, and how do you handle two things coming in at the same time? How do you do that? So that's something we try to teach ourselves and teach our staff. How do you manage multiple projects?
I was going to say, does Dave Allen talk about that in his book?
Very much. Very much.
I might just go and buy it after this interview.
Are you kidding? He has a whole section on projects. Like, that's
sweet.
That's over here.
No, honestly, Andy, So far, just talking to you has been a breath of fresh air, because I, like yourself, an architect in a different field, there's just so much going on. And if there's anything that, I recognise from fellow colleague who goes, this has worked for me, I'm game if it can help me. And this is part of why I'm doing my channel, because opening up to people like you who have actually used it in their fields and go,
yes.
Okay, so this is my question to you, for the viewers out there. Andy, if I came to you today and took away your Remarkable and never gave it back to you, would you be sad?
I would be sad. This has worked better than anything I've ever used. The technology has reached this point where we can write on a screen and forget that it's a screen. We're here. We've arrived. This is what we wanted to happen. We always want more. I'm tempted by a bigger screen.
Yes. No one has mentioned this, but I totally agree, yeah.
There are bigger screens for 3 times as much money. The PDF, the pinch zoom, that has to keep getting better.
Yeah.
Some of that is the nature of e-ink, and that's okay. And next year I want to put my 100-page PDF on here and be able to deal with it.
Is there anything else that you can think of, top of your head?
I really enjoy the conversation. Appreciate the niche of somebody who wants to listen to me talking about the device.
Oh, absolutely.
I really enjoy it. This has been a big help to me. Everybody asks me what it is. But I come in a meeting, I've appreciated it, and I like talking about it. I wish it wasn't gray.
Oh, what you mean, the actual, the color of the screen itself, you mean? The whole grayness?
Yeah, I feel like that's not even fair, because that's what this... Because it's e-ink and they're always great. It kind of brings me down, having lived with white paper and black.
I've got a Kindle, and it's called the Paperwhite, and I think that the screen is a bit more whiter.
Is it whiter?
Yeah, and I think you might be right. I mean, sorry, Remarkable. I'm just looking at my screen now, and Andy's made me think, it's too grey. But yeah, no, I think I understand what you're saying. It would be great if it could level up to, paper whiteness, isn't it? Is that what you're saying? The colour would make you feel like, this is really close to... I really look forward to coming back to you and talking about it maybe in a couple of months, just to see where you've taken it. Because you're probably going...
It's not like the normal technology is going to help conversation. It's brought me back to writing with my hand, to getting things, just capturing things by writing them down. It's brought us all the way back, past all the apps, past all the clever thinking.
And this is exactly the reason why I've done it, because I knew back in the day, back at uni and before that, I was the most creative when it was just pen and paper. It's the thinking. And that's the good question. How have you found it not being distracted? Just you and the notepad. How has that been?
I know that's a selling point, and I support it as a design. If you can see my screen, you can see where I am. I've got the laptop, I've got the giant screen here, I've got the Remarkable, and the phone's over there, and my other phone's over here.
So you're connected still.
So, I am not free of distraction.
Oh no!
I mean, this is not go to the woods and have a beautiful thought. This is, how do you pull all this in this quiet?
That's really interesting. Because I feel like I'm in a similar field from the architectural point of view, where I've got lots of information, but I religiously make it part of my day in the morning to spend at least half an hour just sitting there with everything. The computer is like off.
Yeah,
I'm disconnected.
And I do that. I want to do those things more. I mean, that's meaningful life goals. Yes, this is a half step behind a paper notebook. I mean, if you really want that purity, it's a pen and paper. And this is very, very close to that.
And I think your experience and your workflow, it suits you down to a T. So I'm really grateful and happy that you shared with us, because anything that helps especially make your life easier, I understand where you're coming from. So I'm glad it really works for you. And I think with Remarkable, there's only more things to come. It'll be interesting to see what they bring out in the number 3 version. Who knows? Anything's possible.
It's just a rumor, right?
Andy, thank you so much for being on Maverick JXGen video podcast, because it's been amazing just listening to you talk us through your workflow. Have you got anything that you'd like to say out to the viewers about the Remarkable?
I think it's a very valuable device. It's been great for me. Simplifies things, how it goes back to the basics of handwriting and how meaningful that is, and that's true. It's been a real help to me to have a clear device so that I can clear thoughts and freed up my workflow in really meaningful ways. I'm thankful for it. And Chris, thanks so much for your videos. You explained the device. It gave me the courage to pick it up, to order it. I watched your videos before I bought it.
Thank you. And there are more videos to come, obviously. But yeah, and then this is why, it's great to have a community of people like you to share it with, because ultimately, I do see this device as being revolutionary. Thank you very much, Andy, for coming along and talking to us. Yeah, and I'll just say goodbye. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Andy Oslin. If you liked how he talked about get things done, wait till my next episode, because now that I've done a couple of interviews and I've used the Remarkable over 6 months now, I will be summarizing the best features of it. But given the fact that I've understood how people use it in workflow, I'm going to give you a little spin on how people use the Remarkable as opposed to just functionality. And I think that's really important. If you're trying to choose it, you want a perspective of how to use the Remarkable too.